with coverage you can count on. This is the Erie News NOWCAST.
Good evening, I'm Mike Ruzzi. Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the NOWCAST. Severe weather swept through our area tonight, leaving behind damage and power outages as well. The storm started around 5:30 this evening. The West County area, one of the places hardest hit, with several reports of large trees down, like this one on North Creek Road in Girard. These limbs and trees falling from the high winds led to widespread power outages. This was the scene in downtown Girard tonight as the storm knocked out power, affecting the traffic lights. At last check, according to Penelec, 1,600 customers are still without power right now in Erie County and about 700 homes in Crawford County. Erie City Hall is asking residents and staff members to mask up when doing business at the city building. Today's announcement comes as our region deals with surging COVID-19 cases. According to the CDC, Crawford County is now seeing what the agency calls high spread. That's the CDC's highest level on its scale of disease spread. Hospitalizations are also on the rise across the region. Vaccinations are holding steady in the state, but the nation as a whole is making decent progress. Now, according to the latest CDC data, roughly 61.2% of American adults are fully vaccinated. About 10% are partially vaccinated. We all have the latest COVID-19 data on our website, erienewsnow.com. After the Senate passed a sweeping infrastructure package this week, the bill has just one more hurdle to clear before becoming law. So as the House considers the plan, local companies are getting ready, hopeful that the trillion-dollar package will bring jobs and better infrastructure to our area. Ethan Kibbe has our story.
Overnight, the U.S. Senate approving a sweeping $3.5 trillion budget resolution, paving the way for some of President Biden's top priorities to pass Congress later this year.
The Democratic budget will bring a generational transformation to how our economy works for average Americans.
So what's inside the framework? Well, Democrats want to expand education funding, including universal pre-K and free community college tuition for 2 years, paid parental and family leave, Medicare expansion, including lowering the eligibility age, along with a sweeping list of climate change legislation. The need for much of this, Democrats argue, is highlighted by the pandemic.
Millions of women especially have left the workforce to take care of the children who weren't in school, families, etc.
Budget reconciliation is a legislative shortcut in the Senate that allows one party to pass a bill using just a simple majority and to avoid the filibuster. That means Democrats would not need Republican support to pass this.
Policies they want to put behind this budget resolution read like somebody walked across the rotunda to the House and handed the squad a pen and piece of paper.
Senate Democrats still need to actually write the bill. Meanwhile, House Democrats have announced they will cut their August recess short and come back here to Washington to vote on the Senate's framework starting August 23rd.
The bill, as amended, is passed.
The vote on the $3.5 trillion framework came just hours after a rare bipartisan vote on the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure package earlier Tuesday.
All of those investments that are critical to lowering the cost for families, those issues can now be dealt with separately.
In Washington, Matt Knadler reporting.
And I beg your pardon, Matt Knadler reporting there. Thank you, Matt. The infrastructure deal doesn't come without its drawbacks. The Congressional Budget Office projects it would add more than $250 billion to the federal deficit. With these consistently warm days, there's an increasing concern about power outages. There were some today in parts of northern Ohio and the Akron-Canton areas. Now, according to Penelec, hot days cause high demand on the grid when people crank their air conditioning units to beat the heat. Penelec spokesman for our area, Todd Myers, says customers should try to avoid leaving units running when you're not home. He says Penelec prepares the grid in March for hot days like today, and the utility company is ready for this heat stretch. There's also a brand new resource focused on helping family-owned businesses in the region. It's called the Center for Family Business, and it just launched at Penn State Barron's Black School of Business. Family-owned businesses, big and small, are critical to the region's economy. They make up 90% of the local businesses and 50% of the nation's gross domestic product. Now, on a regular basis, family businesses and the success stories in our areas, we air them on our Giving You the Business segment. From Agnello's Lawn Development on State Street in Erie to the Gildea Group in Meadville, a construction company focused on local events there for more than 60 years. Doug Necker, CEO of family-owned Maplevale Farms in Falconer, New York, chairs the advisory group for the Family Business Center developed at Barron's Black School of Business after seeing family businesses in his industry disappear, costing hundreds of jobs. He and the new center want to make sure companies here have the help they need.
Many times family business owners, just because of the sheer activity that takes place in their day-to-day life, don't plan far enough ahead about who is going to take over the business once the owner is ready to retire.
So often the first or second generation owner thinks they only have two options. Either a family member runs it or they sell the business. But there are so many other great options, such as setting up board of directors and hiring a president, things like that.
The Center for Family Business will launch a membership campaign soon. It's $500 a year for monthly forms, confidential peer-to-peer conversations, and ways to interface with the Black school students and academics. And nearly $200,000 is donated to local charities. Wabtec's Bids for Kids project presented a check of $191,815. This is one of the largest donation bids for kids and has raised in the 26 years it has been established. The money will go to serve local community programs, including the Erie Boys and Girls Club, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Shriners. One organizer told us what this fundraiser means to her.
It's really incredible, right? Like when you're planning the event, when you're, kind of fundraising and doing everything, you're in the trenches, you get a little bit lost, in the noise, and you kind of forget what you're doing. But then you have events like today where you're presenting $191,000 to charities, 3 really incredible charities. And I mean, that's no small sum of money, right?
And Bids for Kids has raised over $2.2 million for local charities since 1995, and about 30% of that money has been raised in the last 3 years. Thanks for joining us for this NOWCAST. Join us for our next news at 10 p.m. on the CW, and again at 11 p.m. on WICU and WSEE. Have a great night.